Garrison Bruce. I'm majoring in pre-nursing at KU.
So what are you majoring in?
Finance and accounting.
We focused mainly on the topic of gender and whether it had a big effect in the majoring field that these individuals were pursuing. David Sadker, author of Gender Inequity Still Knocking at the Classroom Door, discusses some of the gender inequities in the classroom and culture in society. He explains the concept of gender bias, the inclusive term of sexism, and the prejudice and discrimination that takes place because of one's biological sex. He talks about the natural roles of men and women, also known as the biological destiny of one, and how this plays out in the classroom, whether it is conscious or unconscious. Judith Lorber discusses the concept of social construction in her article, Night to His Day, The Social Construction of Gender. Social construction is defined as the theory that society has created gender roles depending on one's sex, and these roles are prescribed to be ideal or appropriate for that specific gender. Lorber says that gender is a process in which society creates social differences to define a man and a woman. Society has put these expectations and norms on particular working fields by making them female or male dominated. Alan Johnson, in The Social Construction of Difference, goes into detail about privilege, when one group has something of value that is denied to others simply because of what group that they belong to. You'll see that privilege exists to those who are in the dominant or majority group in these particular fields. Garrison discusses the socially constructed norms that take place in the female-dominant working field of nursing. Genevieve talks about the privileges that she sees given to males in the male-dominant working field of finance.
What do you define as gender, and how do sex and gender differ?
I think that sex and gender differ in terms of sex is more of your biological traits and stuff, and gender might be something a little bit more vague and something that people can decide and identify with.
Do you know anything about the social construction of gender or how you've been raised to see gender? Do you think society plays a role in how it's seen?
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, as growing up and, like, even now, that, like, things more advertised for, like, girls or little girls as, like, obviously princesses, dolls, all that. Whereas, like, a boy would be kind of, like, outcasted playing with that, and, like, boys are more seen as doing, like, trains and trucks.
I do believe that it exists for sure.
Do you see it at all in the field that you're pursuing?
I personally see it as a deficit in the field that
Okay.
I'm pursuing. Being pre-nursing and stuff, being it such a dominated female profession that often male workers in the field are often kind of overlooked or even just viewed as a certain type of way in a stereotype. And yeah, sometimes that's just not how it is.
Certain tools, resources that certain individuals get because of either their gender, race, social class. Do you think that men have an invisible knapsack in your major? Or women?
It depends. I think in the application process for nursing in particular, it might be beneficial to guys because, you know, most nursing schools are going to be getting overwhelming applications from females and stuff, and they see, you know, a few guys in their applications and stuff, and they might think, oh, this is a guy that's really committed himself to the profession of nursing, and so it might just draw their eye to it, but I don't think it necessarily is an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, even like starting in the school or starting in this business school or getting a job, I would say like girls would be more like not criticized, but like looked into more, and like whereas men it would be more of an automatic type thing.
Do you think your gender has ever inhibited you from succeeding in your major?
I don't think so. I think honestly, if anything, it's just gender has been discouraged, I think, in the field of nursing at least, because it, like I said before, it's female dominated, and you just think, okay, I could do nursing or I could do something similar to nursing that doesn't label me as a nurse. But that's not something that I ever wanted to lead because, you know, nursing is what I wanted to do. And
Do you feel pressure from societal norms to choose a major or job that matched your gender?
yeah, I did. I did feel pressure for it. I was kind of deliberating between nursing and physical therapy, for instance, when it was really coming down to it. And obviously, physical therapy is more of a masculine job.
When I like would talk to people that are my age, like in high school and freshman year and all that, like what they were doing, I definitely like questioned like, is this something I should be doing? Because everyone's, going into like teaching and nursing, but I definitely knew it was something I could do, so I didn't really feel like I had to go a certain way.
What we gathered from these two different perspectives is that women who pursue masculinized careers feel social pressures more than men pursuing a feminized career. However, both students voiced how they felt about being a minority in many of their classes and just some of the struggles that came with this. We noticed that Genevieve struggled with gender bias in her male dominant field more so than Garrison did in his working field, and we concluded that this was because of male privilege. We then related this concept of social construction and privilege to race, looking specifically on white privilege in these particular working fields. Tatum defines racism as a system of advantage based on race. Peggy McIntosh discusses white privilege by using the term invisible knapsack. This is the idea of an unearned package or unearned assets that a white person can use as a tool or stepping stone to get what or where they need to go. We talked to Garrison and Genevieve about whether racism or white privilege was seen in their majoring fields, amongst their peers, or in the workplace that they would be working in. Major, do you think that your major is diverse?
Yeah, I do. I think that a lot of people can be included in it, and also, I mean, nurses are all over the planet, so I'm sure it's diverse everywhere.
How would you feel pursuing this major if you were a different race other than white, obviously?
Um, yeah, I think if I was like other like Hispanic or Black, I would definitely it'd be harder for me. Even though I'm a woman, I think white and our whole race influences it a lot.
You can see that Garrison does not feel like race is a huge issue in his particular working field. However, you see that Genevieve feels that there is racism, white privilege, and the invisible knapsack concept is shown in the working field that she is pursuing. Lastly, we talked about how social class factors into Genevieve and Garrison's particular majors. Ray Rist in Student Social Class and Teacher Expectations talks about the expectations, potential, and capability of students determined by a series of interpreted attributes and characteristics of that student.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I grew up in Johnson County and stuff, which is a good known county. I don't know if you're from there or not, but yeah, I don't think so. My parents both work in business and stuff, and they don't know anything. They don't know jack squat about hospitals or anything.
Do you think your social class influences job opportunities in the future?
Maybe job connections,
Okay.
for one thing. Yeah, I guess it could influence job opportunities too.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you believe being in this social class is the reason you are where you are right now?
Yeah, I do. I think that because my parents both grew up and they did well for themselves, that they decided to give that to us too because they didn't when they were growing up.
And then do you think social class influences job opportunities in general?
Yeah, I would definitely say someone in a like wealthier family or social class who like their family is succeeding and all of that would be more held up higher when it comes to like getting a job.
Just like race, Garrison didn't feel that social class was a huge issue in his major. Genevieve, however, did say that she saw differences in social class and what it meant to be middle to upper class. She also said that she would feel uncomfortable or out of place if she didn't belong to that dominant social class.